Oh, Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. We seek the blessings of the Gurus, Srila Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada, Guru Pampa, and Gaunitai, Srila Prabhupada, Sri Radha Krishna, and Radha Madhav for their blessings so that we can continue with the 10th canto. And I'd like to seek your good wishes and your blessings as well. The good wishes of the devotees are very, very important. So please do keep sharing those good wishes. Otherwise, it's very difficult to continue. So where we left off, we're still in chapter 9. Hopefully, we should finish that today. Chapter 9 of the 10th canto, which is the Damodar Leela. And where we reached to was Mother Yashoda was attempting to bind Krishna. And she was reasoning with Krishna, or Krishna was trying to reason with her. Do you think it's right to punish me like this? And father would be much more lenient and reasonable with me. But mother was very determined. You are not just mischievous, but you are offensive as well. So this leads us to the 15th verse of this chapter. Tadama badhyamanasya swarbhakasya kratagasa dvi angulom nam abhutena sandhade anyat gopika. When Mother Yashoda was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short by a distance of the width of 2 fingers. Thus she brought another rope to join to it. So this is the transcendental pastime of Sri Krishna. Here he is, terrified, Mother Yashoda trying to bind him up. Now Krishna was offended by the last comment by Mother Yashoda. You're not just mischievous, but you're offensive. But anyway, he didn't have time to argue. He didn't have time to be bound up either. He had things to do. He had people to play with, friends to play with, he had houses to ransack. He had ladies to charm. How can he be restrained by some rope? When Mother Yashoda tried to knot the ends around Krishna's belly, it was short by 2 fingers. She tried in different ways, different combinations, but every time the rope was always 2 fingers short. She ordered more rope. All the Brijavasis participated and cheerfully brought more rope, knowing that some extraordinary thing was happening. They would tie the ends, and then Mother Yashoda would again try to put the rope around Krishna's belly. But it was always 2 fingers short. Everyone marveled at the phenomena. The demigod said that the Lord is medium-sized, infinite, and infinitesimal as well, simultaneously, and applauded his inconceivable potencies. The Brijavasis were enjoying the occasion, sometimes teasing Yashoda Mai, sometimes encouraging, sometimes calming, sometimes laughing. This must have been one incredible scene. So text leads us to text 16. Yada se tad api nyunam tenan yad api sadade sandade tadapi dviyangulam nyunam yad adatta bandhanam. This new rope also was short by a measurement of 2 fingers. And when another rope was joined to it, it was still 2 fingers too short. As many ropes as she joined, all of them failed. Their shortness could not be overcome. Text 17. Evam swagaye geha damani yashoda sanda datyapi gopinam susma yantinam.
You want me to read the English?
Yeah, okay. Vishmita Bhavat.
Sorry, I interrupted before.
That's okay.
Translation: Thus, Mother Yashoda joined whatever robes were available in the household, but still she failed in her attempt to bind Krishna. Mother Yashoda's friends, the elderly gopis in the neighborhood, were smiling and enjoying the fun. Similarly, Mother Yashoda, although laboring in that what way, was also smiling. All of them were struck with the wonder.
So this shows the divinity of the Supreme Lord. Every piece of rope added was intact in its original length, but the aggregate shrank so that it was 2 fingers short, around his belly, of course. All the rope in the village, palace, cowshed was used, but it was not to be. Now remember, he had a lot of, Nanda Maharaj had a lot of cows, 9 lakhs, so there was a lot of rope, and they used that, all of that rope. Nonetheless, although tired, Yashoda Mai did not give up. Her determination was an expression of her love. The same can be said of her anger and of her sense of obligation to discipline Krishna. Indeed, her entire being was a manifestation of maternal love. So Krishna accepted her chastisement as such. However, Krishna thought, there is no match, there is no one to match the loving devotion of my mother. I exist by the grace of the dust of her lotus feet. But that love alone is not sufficient to restrain me. 2 more things are required. This is the significance of the 2 finger with gap. Yes, Rianch, what's the significance of the 2 fingers?
The 2 finger significance is one is the determination of devotees and other is Krishna's mercy.
Very, very good. Excellent. Until my devotees exert themselves fully in seva, service, bhakta parishram, and until I take compassion on them, mat kripa apta, I do not become theirs. So both things are needed. This is what the acharyas tell us. These 2 fingers, they represent our effort and the Lord's mercy. Need both things in order to succeed in spiritual life. Of course, if we make the effort, the Lord is obliged to provide his mercy. Nothing obliges him, of course, but the Lord is very personable. He has a personal relationship with everyone. So if we make the effort, why he will not show his mercy? So there you go, the elderly gopis having a good laugh. Some of them were teasing Mother Yashoda like anything. But she was actually also enjoying the fun. Okay, text number 18. Swamato Swinagatraya Vishrasta Kabara Sraja Dvastva Parishramam Krishna Kripaya Sit Swabandane.
Translation: Because of Mother Yashoda's hard labor, her whole body became covered with perspiration, and the flowers in the comb were falling from her hair. When child Krishna saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound.
When embracing Krishna, Yashoda Mai called for more rope. The elderly gopis spoke amongst themselves. How unusual that Yashoda Mai can tie her arms around the son, but not the ropes. How is this possible? So there you go. She's got her arms around him, but she can't tie the rope. No matter how hard she tries, Yashoda Mai is unable to realize her plan. Such an over endeavor. Why does she not give up? You are our queen, an advisor to the king in matters of state, but yet you cannot even tie your own baby. So they were teasing her. There are supernatural forces at work here. It would appear that Krishna is none other than the Supreme Lord himself. Yashoda Mai acknowledged their wisdom with a nod of her head. For a brief moment, she understood Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But only for a moment. To her, he may be the Supreme Lord, but still he was her son. She had undertaken to tie him just after sunrise. And although the sun had begun its descent, her efforts remained fruitless. So this was practically the full day had gone in this wonderful Leela. Extraordinary, extraordinary. She'd been trying to tie the knot for hours. Overwhelmed with fatigue and frustration, she sat down to review her plan. She became very tired. Every time she tried to tie the knot, it just would not work. Transcendental competition between the Lord and his pure devotee. At that moment, Krishna reasoned, she is so determined to discipline me. Such devotional resolve must be honored and rewarded. Perhaps I should give up my stubbornness and let her have her way. My divinity is of no significance to her. It's extraordinary, isn't it? This child in front of her, she could put her arms around her, but she could not tie all the rope in the whole village around him. How this is showing his divinity, but it didn't matter to her. He's still my son. I have to discipline him. How marvelous is that her love for me is not tainted by any awe of reverence, but simply a desire to please me, to protect me, to correct me. The rising compassion in Krishna's heart implored him, give yourself to her, do as she wills, not because being bound is part of an eternal pastime, but because she wants it. Yashoda Mai wiped her brow and reflected on what has happened, what has been happening, and what has been said. And she was giving up. She was about to give up the idea of binding Krishna. At that very moment, Krishna decided, I submit. Yashoda Mai had been tying the knots for hours. Although she decided to stop, by the agency of Yoga Maya, the internal potency of the Lord, her hands continued the momentum. So she tied one more knot. She'd given up, but the momentum of the hands, by the mercy of Yoga Maya, continued to tie one more knot. And that was the knot which bound Krishna. Oh, where do the verses go? Anyway, yes, Kamakshi, why didn't you read these?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, go ahead.
Coming. Can I read, Riyansh, please? Sorry. I might not be able to pronounce properly. I might be better off. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Maharaj Parikshit, this entire universe with its great exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attribute. He comes under the control of his devotees. This was now exhibited Krishna in his pastime. Neither Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as is received by Mother Yashoda. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in the spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to the mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self.
Thank you. So that's text 19 to 21, 3 texts. I love this bit. Even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord. Amazing. So this was a pastime took place when he was 2 years, 2 months. And as soon as Krishna was bound, the 100 lengths of rope miraculously appeared and fell in a carpet around him. Seeing this, Yashoda Mai was bewildered. Looking more closely, she saw that Krishna's belly was now bound with the 2 original silken ropes or braids that came from her plaited hair. Only those cords could contain Krishna. All the other rope was for churning, had no consequence. So, because those ropes were in the hair of Mother Yashoda, they're very closely connected with the devotee of the Lord. Yashoda Mai now consciously tied together the two cords into another knot, and then quickly tied one more knot just in case. And she also checked that the knots were still there. Mission accomplished. The transcendental thief has been caught and bound. Now she can move on to the next task at hand. She took the rope that had been tied to the mortar and connected it to the cord encircling Krishna's waist. So he was tied up to the mortar, the wooden mortar. And she gave him a telling off. I hope you will now learn your lesson and follow the saintly conduct of your father instead of the mischief of the monkeys. So there you go again, third time. Krishna thought, here we go again. Reference to the monkey insult again. Yashoda Mai stood up and before turning to leave, addressed Krishna. You will stay here where you are until I clean up the chaos that you made. In the meantime, there will be no play, no toys. When I am done, sorry, then I shall come for you and we will go and see the Diwali celebrations. Do you understand? Krishna sheepishly lowered his head, feeling completely humiliated before his friends, and whimpered, yes, mother. Yashoda Mai embraced and repeatedly kissed his cheek, saying, you started this day off as a troublemaker. Now finish it as a good boy. Telling his friends to stay there and keep an eye on Krishna, Yashoda Mai turned and with a victorious smile invited her gopi friends to help her clear the mess in the house. Again, showing service to Krishna takes precedence. Again, she's going to leave Krishna where he is and do seva for Krishna. This is really a very powerful message. The devotee would even give up Krishna in order to serve Krishna. It's almost inconceivable to even understand that. The remaining gopis teased Krishna. Oh, Prince, now you are bound, Dhamma, around your belly, Udara. We shall call you Damodar. That's where the famous name comes from. His friends joined in calling Krishna Damodar, and Krishna thought this is how everyone now will tease me. It's adding insult to injury. Of course, now this name Damodar is very affectionate, and whenever that name is called out, I'm sure Krishna will be turning his head and say, hey, who said that?
It is known as Damodar Ashtakam.
Yeah, that's right. As time passed and the Damodar Leela became a fond memory, Krishna will treasure that name as one of his favorites. So at present, though, it sounded like an insult, and he made his displeasure known with a frown on his sweet face. As soon as Yashoda Mai left, Krishna cast aside his sad face and false tears. So all this time he'd been crying and, oh, Krishna. He assumed a composed demeanor and filled the courtyard with the moonlight of his smile. Making the best of his predicament, he boasted to his friends, now see how I kept my mother at bay? The boys answered, it was a memorable exhibition. Now tied to this mortar, what will you do? Bound to the mortar, Krishna had still found ways to play with his friends. Friends who are pure devotees waiting to play with him as a child. So they always find a way to serve Krishna, to enjoy with Krishna, no matter what the situation is. Remembering his predicament, Krishna's eyes would now and then well up with tears. Seeing this, the monkeys became increasingly excited, and his friends lovingly tried to console him. So it's a really amazing pastime. Some boys tried to ease caution as embarrassing him by offering him a snack. Friend, would you like me to ask my mother for some yogurt? At the sound of the word yogurt, Krishna became aware of his hunger. The skirmish with his mother crossed the timelines of several meals during which he had not eaten anything. But he was still very sharp. Silly, your mother is at my house. Why bother her? Some of you should run to your homes, see what is available. So he's always scheming, huh, Krishna? In great happiness, the boys would run home, bring whatever was available, and feed Krishna. In this way, they enjoyed a picnic. Then Krishna started to test the motor. How heavy is it? He started pulling the motor. To the applause of his friends, Krishna slowly dragged the motor here and there, occasionally sitting down to catch his breath. Okay. Krishnastu yeshu vyagrayam matari prabhu adrag sid arjuna purvam guyakau danadatmajo.
Translation. While Mother Yashoda was very busy with household affairs, the Supreme Lord Krishna observed twin trees known as Yamala and Arjun, which is a former millennium had been the demigods' sons of Kuvera.
So he remembers something. Oh, there he is. He's going towards the trees. Going towards the trees. Hang on a sec. His final words to his mother's final words were ringing still in his ear. My dear boy, your whimsical conduct has now come to an end. If you think you are so clever, then free yourself of this rope. Go ahead, pull the motor behind you and go wherever you like. Okay, so he was off. To the delight of his friends, he was pulling the motor. But where would he go? Aware that his mother could easily hear the Gopas cheer, Krishna placed his finger to his lips to calm them. Shh. Then he remembered Narad's curse to the demigods. Recognizing the two stately Arjun trees, he decided to invoke his divine powers to liberate the demigods trapped in the trees. Krishna remembered the past lives of these demigods. So this is the final verse of the Bhagavatam, of the 9th chapter. Purana rada shapena vrakshatam tam prapito madat nalakuvera manigrivav iti kyato shriyantau vito.
Translation. In their former birth, these two sons, known as Nalakuvera and Manigriva, were extremely opulent and fortunate. But because of pride and false prestige, they did not care about anyone. And thus, Narad Muni cursed them to become trees.
That's the end. And we'll continue in chapter 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, where this pastime of what happened to Nalakuvera and Manigriva are described. So, Madhusudan Babu, is there any questions? Let's take some questions first, if there are any. Anybody, anything to ask or add? Any pastime that you'd like to share that you may have heard relating to this?
Prabhuji,
Yes, Naniman.
it must be very amazing because the Krishna size remained the same. He did not expand as the ropes were tied around him. He remained the same. And yet all these thousands of ropes that were brought around, they were just couldn't. It's so amazing. It can't hard to imagine.
Very hard to imagine.
Krishna was the same.
Krishna was the same. And his mother's arms were going around him.
Yeah.
It But this
So
is
he
him
must-
showing his divinity. He's showing his supreme position.
He must be felt very insulted in front of his friends and monkeys. poor Lalo.
It's very, very magical, isn't it? If
Yeah,
you hear about it,
magical.
you just can't imagine, but it is true.
Mm. Some of the gopis used to say to him, leave him alone. Let him play. It doesn't matter if he's made a mess. We'll help you clear it. But Mother Yashoda was very clear in her resolve. No, I am going to discipline this boy. And even after showing such divinity, she was not deterred. Doesn't matter. He may be the Supreme Lord. Because they were saying, this is God in front of you. Can't you see? Doesn't matter. He might be God. He's still my son. I still have to punish him. So this is this love that the Brijbasis have is what Krishna really likes. When he goes to Dwarka, when he goes to Mathura, they all effectively know his divinity. And as a result, they want something from Krishna. But here, Yashoda Mai wants to give. Of course, she's giving punishment, but she wants to give to Krishna, not take from Krishna. And that's what he loves about the Brijbasis. They just want to give something to him, increase his joy. Everybody else in the world wants a piece of Krishna. But here, the Brijbasis, they give themselves to Krishna. This is why he loves them so much. That's why if we connect to the Brijbasis, our spiritual path is open through the Guru, Gauranga. Connect to the Brijbasis and everything gets opened up because Krishna loves the Brijbasis. Is that okay, Naniven?
But how do we connect to the Brijbasis? How do we mean live there and sort of? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's to serve them, to please them. Many people live there and become close to them that way as well.
So,
many different ways we can. You're already doing it. In fact, thanks to you, we're doing so much for the children of Barsan, of Vrindavan now.
girls, yeah, Vrindavan, yes.
So you're already doing it.
That is
you know?
part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the more you can do, the better, in the sense of physical presence helps. But in this day and age, we're not always able to be with them, but to assist them in their lives is considered to be as good.
Yeah.
So no, it's amazing. It's lucky.
It would be amazing to live in Vrindavan and follow what these Brijbasis do whole day, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you live with a family.
Yeah. Difficult for us to understand what they do because their mood of worship is unique. Sometimes, like somebody was saying to me, it was one family, they offer the food to Krishna, but they're eating at the same time, right? They're eating with Lala. Their mood is like, I'm not going to let my Lord eat without me. I'm going to also, accompany him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an offensive mood. It was it was their bow. He can't eat on his own. He needs company when he's eating. Then he'll eat more. So, but if we can't do that. You see, we wouldn't even understand. Hang on, what's going on here? And we try to stop them. No, you're supposed to leave the offering for 15 minutes and then ring the bell. But they won't necessarily. They have a different mood. So, and we can misunderstand that mood as well, unfortunately. So.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhuji.
All right. Thank you so much.
Is it the Brajbasis are more qualified to do that sort of leela with the Supreme Personality?
I think so. That's right. Because their mood is not that this is the Supreme Lord. Their mood is that he might be because he does such amazing things, but it doesn't matter. He's still our boy. He's still our village boy. He's still our Gopal. And they
Hare
treat him like
Krishna.
that. They don't. See, the thing with the Brijabasis, they don't want anything from him. They want to give him. Whereas the rest of the world, we want a piece of Krishna, you know. We want his wealth. We want his fame. We want his women.
So I suppose he reciprocates according to one's mind, what we want to give.
Yeah, the Lord reciprocates with that. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's right. That's right. No, thank you so much. Madhusudan Prabhu.
Yeah,
Take
Haribo, Hare Krishna, yeah. And just to add to that, the whole mood of Brajbasis is that of service to Krishna, but then trying to understand how when the acharyas are serving and what should I say, letting all living entities somehow or the other engage in the service of Krishna. So when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, created the mood of Brajbasi in Mayapur, like when you go there, there is the Govardhan Hill there, there's Ganga, and there's
Radhakund, Shyamkund.
yeah, Sham Kund and Radha Kund, and then also same thing like I'm thinking of Shriram Maharaj in New Brajman, the Krishna Valley, where you go there and the mood of sort of being in Vrindavan has been kind of manifested. It is like a spiritual realm in a sense. So I was trying to understand, that there, this wonderful devotee called Mohandas is taking us around and explaining to me, this is where our Govardhan Hill is. This is where, this is where our Radha Kund, Sham Kund, all these different kunds, and this is the little temple where Radharani gets locked up like in a prison thing, sort of those pastimes with her husband and other devotees, how it plays a part. And then Shriram Maharaj, obviously, the deities there, Radha Damodar, whom Radha Shyam.
Yeah,
the main deities, but he's his own personal deities,
right,
where he lives. Where he lives, that area is called like Radha Damodar, temple.
Right.
Or sort of, so that there are these kind of manifested with the mood of sort of seeing how the Brajbasi's mood is there within, and I'm just trying to understand how they manifest this Vrindavan kind of mood, But the acharyas have their potency, and as we were singing in the song with Karuna Banda was singing how Bhakti Vinod Thakur is saying he's a Manjari, was it Kamala Manjari?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then her job is just to prepare camphor for Radharani and other Lalita Sakhi and other. So it's just helping each other in serving, even if they're doing little things, but it's like serving the devotees of Brajbasis, So it's interesting to understand serving the servant of the servant of the servant. We don't know which end. So when we are describing the pastimes and serving Guru Maharaj or even serving Prabhupada in distributing books or is enhancing the preaching activity, somehow it is still, from here you can still serve Vrindavan and Brajbasis. I don't know. I'm trying to understand it anyway.
Definitely you can. Definitely you can.
So in this canto, it's quite a lot of different pastimes taking place, and then the instructions that come out from it. And so one of the moods that I've sort of picked out was that, like Srila Prabhupada mentions the purport, that it appears that Mother Yasoda did not want to forget Krishna's activities at any time. Therefore, she poetized all the Krishna's childhood activities, such as the killing of Putna, Gasur, Saktasura, and Trunavata. And while churning the butter, she sang about these activities in a poetic form. This should be the practice of persons eager to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. So it's that Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and they're also singing and poetize and in a poetic way. And so when we sing, Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Sodanam, so see songs like that, and the poems. And I mean, I'm not poetic at all, so I don't think there's any kind of in me, but certainly the acharyas, when they sing, and Karuna Bandar singing all these different pastimes, they're all poetic as well. So that's one way of keeping Krishna and being Krishna conscious 24 hours a day, when we got different songs about Krishna Leela playing in our mind, or we can sing or focus on or anything. So we can either create songs or poems, or read and recite or sing ones by the acharyas, Goswamis and devotees, to constantly remind us of Krishna's pastimes and remain fixed in Krishna consciousness. So in the Damodar Leela, what you've just described today, this chapter is also really amazing as well. So remembering all these things and having the determination, and then Krishna's mercy, we depend on that. So I think that reflects within this chapter, but I hope that helps. Okay.
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody
Hari
else?
Bol, Hare Krishna.
Any questions? Anybody like to share anything?
Haribol, I was going to suggest Krishna Valley in Hungary, the new Vrajdam. I think if we get chance to plan a trip over there, it will be just like Vrindavan, but in a new form. It will be nice for all our group to have a darshan of the deities and take advantage of being in New Vrajdam.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Okay, let's go to Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Damodar Leela ki jai.